Well, thanks for coming, Graham. This long way. I wouldn't have done it.
I wouldn't either.
Ah, touche. You've been listening. Yeah, it's funny, you know, yeah, if I was me, I would never show up to these things. Never. I mean, my batting average is like 1,000 because I never showed up. It's just because I have no interest in it, really. The spigot isn't in my control, so more, you know, my mental state's concerned. Hey, I may not want to say a damn thing, but it always seems to come out. Something wants to express, you know. I like because this is sort of how it happened with me in a sense. I was practicing a lot. This is the pre-talk again. I was practicing, and of course there isn't any me, but you know, let's not get into the semantics, please. You know? Yeah. I don't want to get emails. You said I 4 times, or me twice. That's to me is like the like non-duality Pharisees. You know what I mean? They've got the letter of the law, but they don't have the spirit of the law. You know, the spirit is much more sloppy than they think it should be. So the language is a bad vehicle to share because it's a subjective language used by objects. Yeah? The body is using a subjective language. It's saying it's the one that's thinking, it's the one that's doing this, it's the one that's running, it's the one that's feeling. But it's not. Yeah? So its premise is off, and then again, given space and time, it progresses incredibly, mutates and gets wilder and wilder, where usually the head is talking as if I have so much to do with things I have nothing to do with. You know, to the most obvious one we always use about the hair. You know, people went back east and people hadn't seen me in a while, and my hair had grown. So people go, "Oh, you're growing your hair." You know, yes, I am. I'm very proud of it. I'm growing my hair. It's looking good, isn't it? Yours isn't looking so good. You're not growing your hair as well as I'm growing my hair. And I recognize I grow it better with people, so I'm joined a group and we get together 2 hours a week and we grow our hair. Look at the results. But it sounds like the statement, the language, it sounds like I have something to do with it. You know, hey, Paul, you're growing your hair. But I'm not doing anything at all. All I have to do is, it's more a not doing, which is if I don't cut it, it grows. You know? So even like, you know, my knee went out when I was surfing about a year, and seems like 20 years now. It's been hell on terra firma, not being able to go in the water. But it was about 15 months ago. So the way you explain it, though, with language is I hurt my knee. It sort of sounds like I went out there with a hammer and I purposely just started slamming my knee. But I had nothing really to do with it. I was just busily surfing, absent-minded, just enjoying it, and the knee just went out, and I'm conscious, there's awareness, so I was aware that the knee went out. How does it get translated into, I hurt my knee? You see? What brought it to the attention? It wasn't me. The attention, the awareness, recognized something, it was noted, and then there was the claiming of that notation, and then translated into I did it somehow. I had something to do with it, when I had nothing to do with it. Yeah? Well, what about the thinking, and what about feeling? What's the premise that you're the thinker, and does it hold water? Yet it's the underlying basis of the thought system, how it's presented. All the thoughts, the only way the thoughts can have a huge hold on you is if they're held as mine. That's the only way. Yeah? Your thoughts aren't bothering me at all. You can be complaining about how bad it is and it won't affect me one bit. You can be sitting right next to me and being in a mental hell and I don't have any consequences. I don't feel any heat or nothing. I have total immunity because they're not seen as my thoughts. They're seen as yours. But the same thoughts that are being used to drive that person in that head crazy, if they're held as my thoughts, have the ability to drive me crazy. So where did that ability come from? Does it come from the thoughts? Or does it come from something prior to the thoughts, which is a relationship with the thoughts as the thinker, yeah, or the thought about? They're bonded both ways, yeah? Either you're thought about or you're the thinker. So now the thoughts are used. Just see it. It's so right in our face. What's being produced is a sense of a you, and yet what you are isn't what's produced. So the ability to see, instead of looking from, you can see the structure. This is all reverse engineering in a way. For me, wow, I just saw some freaking thing go by that window. It's incredible. Jesus Christ. Oh, wait, now I'm looking for something here. So, that's okay, whatever that thing was, that's all right. As long as it doesn't stop and stop looking in this way. So, this idea of me is produced, yes? It's taken to be what's not produced. It's taken to be the alpha and the omega, but it really isn't. It basically is a byproduct of a process, a mental process, and then there's the feeling of you, but it's a couple of steps off of actually the beginning, in a sense, or what always is. Yeah? So, but when you have a thought, it feels like you were there before the thought. It implies like a historical sense. So if you have a feeling, you believe you felt like that forever, when it's not true, yeah? The feeling and the relation of the mental state and the mind to it is what produces the sense of the feeling. It's an afterthought. So how is that afterthought ever going to recognize what's prior to it, if it takes itself to be the source of everything? If I'm the doer, the feeler, the haver, what else is there? So the best I can do is start looking for what I am, which defeats every attempt, because you are what you're looking for. As St. Francis puts it so beautifully, you are what, he says, what's looking is what you're looking for. So, like Huang Po, a great Zen master, a great Chinese Zen master, would point out that you can't use mind to seek mind. You can't use Buddha to seek Buddha. You can't use light to seek light. You can do it for eons, but nothing will come about. Because why? Why is that? Why is that failing? Why? Because if there was a recognition of the Buddha, there would be no seeking the Buddha. So when the Buddha seems to be under a form of ignorance, where it starts looking outward to find itself, it's failed from the get-go. No matter no matter if the techniques are 5,000 years old or just made up a year ago on the internet. The failure is already built into it because of the fundamental flaw of you have forgotten what you are, you take it to be something else, and that something else is now looking for what it is. There is all there is, and now there's suddenly three things. There was all there is, and then there's all I am, and the I am is now going to look for all there is, but as an object to itself. So it takes from nothing, it spawns three things. So, okay, now the truth or enlightenment becomes an object to me as the false subject. How are you going to win? Any movement is going to progress, and it's going to go from 3 to 9, from 9 to 18, from 18 to 36. It's going to just keep going. It's more and more. There'll be more distance made up in this imaginary pause, yeah? And if you take one step off of it and you turn back, you can never see it. Because as soon as you become what you're not, everything gets objectified from that. So now, the only way you can think about the truth as you can think about it as something. Like it's a solid thing that you're going to get, you're going to acquire, and you're going to either add the truth onto you, or you're going to become the truth. But What's going to be emphasized is the you that's going to become the truth, the you that's going to be the one that the truth comes over. You'll never be out of the story. So as soon as what we're not becomes subjectified, then everything else becomes objectified. And that means there's two, and what we're supposedly at a meeting of is not two. That's what non-duality means, not two. Yet, many of these talks start on the premise of two. And two isn't going to be able to squeeze into one. The idea of one is a concept from two. In non-two, there's no idea of one. The only idea of one would have to come from bouncing on a possibility of being a two. There's no one standing alone. You only entertain the idea of one in the premise based on two-ness. But the whole meaning is not two. It doesn't say anything. It's not an affirmation. It's not a declaration. It's not a proclamation. It's a negation. There's not two. What's the primary two that it's not? Subject-object. It doesn't care what object or what subject, because we all have different names for the same subjectivity, identified as a body, but it doesn't change the fact that it's subjectivity and it's not of a body. Yeah? But as soon as it becomes two, yeah, the subject-object, now one of the biggest ironies of all, the two will now start searching for the one. Yeah? The subject-object will now extend itself to find what it thinks is the true subject, but as an object, the truth. Where are you going to go? Every move you make, you're leaving exactly where you want to be. Not truthfully, seemingly. Because this whole place is a dream, and it's appearing to be either true or false to us. Yeah? If you're clear, it's appearing to be false. So it validates what you are by seeing what you're not. If it appears to be false, it's real as hell. This is that simple. It's real as hell. It has no reality other than the reality we give it. How could something that on Friday doesn't bother me at all become the biggest problem I ever had on Saturday? Did it just transform from not a problem into the biggest problem of all time? No, I gave it the meaning it had. Like the Course in Miracles says, lesson 2. You and I give everything all the meaning it has. So if something seems real, where's it getting that seeming real from? From reality. We are that reality. That's forgotten, not a way, you can't forget, but it seemingly forgets it's the reality by taking itself to be a body. Yeah? So now the subjectivity becomes subjective, yeah, and becomes objectified. You're lost in two-ness. So non-duality was a great, great, great invitation not to. Just like the old Zen, the faith mind, the guy would just yell at the end, not to, not to, not to. He didn't start saying, oh, the only one, the only one. That's been shouted thousands of times and hasn't gone anywhere. He was right on the money by going, not to. That's it. It's not an affirmation, it's a negation. Yeah? You're negating a certain premise that we're taking to be positive. We're going to see it as not positive in a sense. And then the whole ball game changes with no thought or effort on your part. It just shifts because what you are has shifted in a sense. Not what you seem to be, because you know what happens when you think you've had a shift when you seem to be. Maybe it lasts for 3 days until you leave the retreat center, or you see your girlfriend again, there goes the shift. It seems like it's a very conditional shift based on whose condition? Your condition. How could your condition ever override the conditionless state unless it was the conditionless state taking itself to be the condition? There's no freaking way. So it's not going out. I just read a thing, they had 2 posters out there. The Tree of Spirituality, they had 12 different things, and then the Golden Rule of 15. That's what it does. There's a false thing, and it just mutates into thousands of thousands. Like when they first started psychology, I think in America, they had 10 mental diseases. Now they have 490. more name and form will be given. More name and form for what's ailing us. We'll have so many names and form, we're breathing life into it all. It's like the Course in Miracles says, if you're into the Course, it says, you and I are the dreamer. I don't like the word dreamer because it implies a someone, a noun, but I like you and I are the dreaming. So you and I are the dreaming of the dream. Yeah? We forget that we're dreaming. Now this is where I think it's really important. What's producing the forgetfulness that we're the dreaming? How could the dreaming forget it's the dreaming? You know? So how does it do it? Well, this is in reverse engineering. This is how it came in through me, was how it's doing it is I'm remembering self. I'm remembering that vague sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, constantly being reinforced by the thought system I seem to be plugged into. Like K-Paul, I can't fucking move the knob. You know, K-Paul, day in and day out, golden oldies, on and on and on and on and on. So it's in remembering what I'm not that I seem to forget what I am. Yeah? It's not like a passive forgetting, it's an act of remembering. There's the act there has to be an act of remembering of what we're not to seemingly forget what we are. Seemingly means it appears to be true or false to us. So we can seemingly forget in time what we are. We could never do it in timelessness, obviously. But in time it can seem like we're not what we are. And how we do that, how the mental state does it presents an idea through claiming. Yeah? So there's conscious contact happening, yes? Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, and then there's concepts about seeing, hearing, feeling, taste, touching. That's going on, okay? That's conscious contact. The mental process arises and says, I'm the one who's conscious. Doesn't the feeling of you're the actor happen when an action happens through the body? Doesn't it feel like it sounds like your voice when the sounds of these vocal cords of this body make a sound? You call it your voice? Yeah. The thoughts are claimed to be your thoughts. The feelings are claimed to be your feelings. They're seeing, the tasting, the touching is claimed to be your seeing, feeling, and tasting and touching. It's constantly claiming conscious contact to imply and to assume that there's a one who's in contact. That you are a thing that's in contact. You have the attributes of no thingness, but as a thing. So you're conscious, but you're conscious as a body. Instead of being conscious of the body, you're conscious as the body. That's how the mental state's presenting it. And the mental state, to remember itself, what it does, it thinks about you as a body. Look at the thought system. The thought system pictures us as a body. You couldn't be remembered any other way. You have to be a thing to be remembered. Yeah? How is the thoughts, how are they need something to coagulate around. You're not going to, how can you think, oh, my spirit was really sort of dim 3 years ago, that day, and I think I know why it dimmed. The spirit wasn't feeling well? How could that be? So it must have been the body. So I'm obviously implying the spirit's condition is based on the body's condition. Oh, yes, well, I wasn't feeling good that day. What wasn't feeling good that day? Yeah. It's so flimsy. You don't even need inquiry. You don't even, just turn the attention a little bit that way. There's nothing home. All there is verbing. I call it all there is selfing, the mental state. It's just selfing. It's using everything it's come in contact through consciousness, through conscious contact. Whatever it's come in contact with, it's arisen up and claimed to be the one that somehow has something to do with it. So the thoughts are mine. I'm guilty about my actions. I'm shameful for things I shouldn't have done and I didn't do, or I did things I shouldn't have done. I'm totally concerned what's going to happen to me later as a body. I'm totally remembering how great it was before as a body, when I was at Niagara Falls that time, and all this stuff. So that whole activity is, okay, so in that state of forgetting that I'm the dreamer, what happens? If you read the Course, it says it very clearly. You and I give everything we dreamt all the power to affect us. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful diagnosis, yeah? So you and I are the dreaming of the dream. Yeah. If you don't think this is a dream, then how could it be a subjective experience? You're having, we're at one event and everyone's going to have a different experience of it. What, does the event override all of us, or do we override the event? Yeah. Well, as physics says, the greatest influence of any experiment is the observer of it. Yeah? So the greatest influence of any life is the living of it. Yeah? So, all right, so where was I? Deep in it, wasn't I? Oh, I can't believe how deep I'm in today. You wish you could feel this stuff, but you can't, because you're not as deep as I am. You will be if you keep coming. But you're not now. I did a talk once in Boston, and there was a lot of spiritual pros there. A lot of spiritual pros, seekers. And this one guy was explaining to me, he was at this thing where they said if you stood in a certain posture for 17 minutes, it would happen, And it was something like this, but he could only hold it for 16 minutes. So he asked me, what should I have done? I said, you should have held it for 18 minutes. That's the whole spiritual seeking in a nutshell. Oh, if I would have done a little more. I was so close. You're never going to experience your own absence. Your own absence is the presence. You are never going to be there to enjoy it. Ever. It's through your absence that's the sense of presence. The sense of presence is not an experience that you and I have. It's not of an experiential level at all. It influences the experiential level, but it's not an experience. There's no having of it. It's when you lose interest in self, you may gain interest in that, which is the presence of your absence, like a great old guy, Wei Wu Wei, used to say. The presence is your absence. The absolute absence is the absolute presence. Yes. You're it. You can seem to be something else, or you can realize that you're not that something else, and then there's no need to realize what you are. You'll find out what you are. Yeah? All you do is realize what you're not. That's all you need to do. It cuts the whole thing of freedom, bondage, the whole dualistic expression of contraction, expansion, getting closer to love or farther away from love. It cuts it all out. It's just the negation of the whole link, the whole causal dualistic link. You cut it before the whole necklace gets made, yeah? By realizing what you're not. When you realize what you're not, you're relegated into finding out what you are. Not an experience, but you'll be able to read the tea leaves through experiences. There'll be an intimation or like a smell that life will start producing that you didn't have before, because you're there. Not as what you think you are, but as what you are. And then once it becomes apparent, everyone has the same hit, that it has always been that way. It's never not been that way. This was never produced. It was never arrived at. It could never be left. It was just a freaking making. A making up, a dreaming, an imagining. Yes? And the inability or the reluctance to finally let all roads lead to Rome and to really just see exactly what's going on is why all the shenanigans happen. So we get busy looking for ourselves, and the mind truly knows it's not a threat at all, because you're never going to use, that thing's never going to find it. Yeah? Because you can't find it. You would have to be able to be lost to be found, and it's prior to that. This whole freedom is not after the bondage, it's prior to the bondage. You do not get released from a real bondage and then you arrive at the real freedom. The real freedom is that there is no bondage. It's prior to everything, not after. After would give what came before too much relevance. Nothing came before what we are. Nothing came before what we are. There is no prior to prior. Yeah. There's no thing, there's no seeing that's seeing what's seen. There's just what's seen. That's why it's so difficult, because if you go, you're what you're looking for, we'll be going like this. If I just acted like I wasn't interested, then I could see, you're never going to see it. Never. Never. Because you're looking from it right now. We've made an imaginary map, and we added so many miles and so many intricate little turns and everywhere to get to it with the intention of never getting there, because in all truth we know exactly where it lies, which is right where we are right now at all times, with no requirement necessary to meet it, because you're so past or prior to meeting anything as what you are. There's no meeting going on. There's nothing to meet. It's a done, complete deal. You're not in any process of awakening. You just you wake up to the awakeness. There's no awakeness that wakes up. It's already there, but you wake up to it in the dream. You become awake in the dream, and then you realize you're that which you thought you were awakening to. Yeah? You are that which you thought you were awakening to. You are that. And then that's that. That's why I'm obsolete quickly. It looks like I'm going faster than I was hoping. My career is lagging here. But that's the fact. I'm like a mailman. You're not supposed to go home with me. Fuck. I'm just here inviting you because you're that. I know it. I have faith in mine. I don't think it takes much. I don't think it takes a gargantuan effort. I really don't. I think you already have the innate quality. The mind is constantly entertaining. Look at what we're doing with what we're entertaining. We have such a limited material, we just keep redoing and rehashing things over and over and over again. We need like a new script writer. We need some new input. It's like a show that's gone on too long, you know? Like Seinfeld was good, but if it would have gone for 18 years, you know, George and Kramer, fucking, oh, Jesus, these guys should close it down, you know? There's no new blood in it. It's a failed system, but the ability to entertain, it's like we're like a marathon runner in a closet. You know, we just keep running with the hopes it will get better. I will be okay. Our own okayness, which is an inherent quality, not of the body. The body is always volatile. Emotions volatile, mental's volatile, but what we are isn't volatile. But we're so captured in time that okayness becomes a goal. I will be okay. I'm not okay now, and don't fucking mess with my not okayness, but I will be. I was once, I think I can remember, I was okay when I was in high school, but I will be. You don't see the biggest heist of all? Time, thought system. First selfing, major movement is claiming. Whatever it comes in contact with, it will claim to have something to do with it, okay? So consciousness, it's the one now that's conscious. And then an insane idea that it can be unconscious gets entertained, which is unbelievable, you know? That consciousness can be segmented into being conscious and unconscious. It just blows your mind, but this is what happens. Once the system of split mind claims anything, it dualistically presents it. Yeah? So now you can be close and far from the truth. You can get really close to the truth, and then you can really be far from the truth, usually based on what you do or don't do. So you're still the biggest player of the whole game. Yeah, you gotta see, you're written into the story of not being Paul. I know people that come to these meetings, they're so sophisticated, they're trying to become a non-Paul as Paul. They've heard all about there is no Paul, and now they've conceptualized it to become a non-Paul, but not losing one shred of the imaginary Paulness. It will nuda satsang, it will claim fucking everything. 5,000-year-old Buddha, it will claim anything. It has no respect for robes or anything like that, or tradition. It's like a parasitic movement. It just claims whatever it comes in contact with, and it presents a story about it. And we've been buying that story, yes? And we want to wake up, but we want to wake up as that instead of from it, yeah? We want to wake up as the dream self instead of from the dream of self. And usually if it doesn't fail, after you blame everything else, you'll be blamed for not doing enough, not meditating enough, not breathing enough, not asanering enough, not yogaing enough. It's a slavery, it's true. Slavery, and one of the heaviest chains is the gold chain of spirituality. It gets co-opted by it being placed into an object, and then we believe we're looking from there. Yeah? So the seeing gets bastardized into a form of looking called self-centered. So the only way you see things is how it pertains to you. That's not seeing. That's a form of looking. So life, instead of being seen as happening, is now seen as happening to you. That's the weight, that's the heaviness added to you every day. Every day you become the container, the receptacle for mental heaviness by thoughts, feelings, actions that are preceded with a statement that they're my thoughts, my feelings, and my reactions. That's how the heaviness gets produced. Not if the thoughts facilitate it, but that's not what's producing it. It's the claiming to be the thinker that allows the thoughts to have the power. So you own the thoughts own you. You own the feelings the feelings own you. You own the actions own you. Yeah. It's the word mind. It represents so much in my head. The word mind, because you can have any word you want to put down that's an important topic in your life. And without changing the meaning of that topic, we can change its weight by adding the word my in front of it. So money, I wish everyone here has have a lot of money. My money, I don't want any of you to have my money. It's incredible, eh? It is. Same money, but my money, no fucking way. Girlfriend, I'm really having a great time with my girlfriend. My girlfriend, I think I have the right to break into her emails. You know, I should know what my girlfriend's doing when she's not with me. What the hell? What happened? The girlfriend's the same person. Something, my relationship to it changed. First it was just a girlfriend having fun. Now it's my girlfriend, totally different, yes? Thoughts, maybe they weigh an ounce each one. 1,000 of them a day. My thoughts, they weigh a pound each one. 10,000, what is that? 10,000 pounds. Huge difference, yeah? You're carrying so much fucking heavy weight that has nothing to do with right now. Most people who are bummed out tonight's Thursday, they're never bummed out by Thursday. They're bummed out by last Wednesday and next week. They're entertaining being bummed out now, because this is the only place you can, but what's producing the entertaining isn't now, it's thoughts about yesterday and tomorrow. That isn't slavery. It's not like you were bonded in Idaho, 1984. It's an activity, a mental activity that's inferring, implying, assuming, constantly suggesting that there's someone there. Just simply that, so innocently, like this. There's a bottle, everyone sees a bottle. I can change its meaning, or its intent, which is it's my bottle. Now it's pointing to the owner of the bottle, yes? Same bottle, but being used for something. Same as thoughts. Thoughts, my thoughts. Feelings, my feelings. Actions, my actions. You see it? Life happening, then mentally interpreted to me. To me is the cause of all the agitation. Drives us to seek, but we seek in an ignorant manner. So we look exactly from where we need to see, but we look from it and start looking. Instead of just stopping and finding that we are what we're looking for. Yes? It can come on you and so immediately, it can play itself out. Who cares? The whole point is, you'll realize that where you actually stand is prior to everything else. There's nothing behind what's seen. There's nothing behind what's seen. If you follow any sound, to me, the closest sound of all is the vibrational sound in some bodies. People hear it, some of us call it the hum, yeah? So you hear a hum, sort of like a very loud silence. And it's constant, more constant than breath. Breath has an interruption. So if you want to use an object of meditation, this sound is much superior in a way. But the fact is, what's hearing that sound, which is the closest sound I can get to. I can hear all the cars, I can hear the breath, I can hear the person in the next room, I can hear something, chirping there, but I'm hearing something that's prior to all the other hearing. Yeah, but what's hearing that? What's hearing that sound that's prior to all the other sounds? Yeah? What's that? Obviously, what's hearing can't be heard. Yeah. Or it would be, yeah? What's hearing cannot be heard. What's feeling cannot be felt. What's tasting cannot be tasted. What's thinking cannot be thought of. Yeah. It's so beautiful. You are not available as an experience. An experience isn't going to trigger it. You are that. You are that prior to everything. It's not, from the mental state point of view, it's boring as hell. This is, no one's going to think you have a loving gaze or think you're special. It's just ordinary dog shit awareness, basically. It's not really becoming to the mental state. It finds no value in nothing. It doesn't. It can't make anything out of it. It'll try. I remember when I first got introduced, my mental state was trying, where my girlfriend would come home and say, "Paul, I thought you were going to do the dishes." "Well, there's no Paul to do the dishes." And she'd say, "Fuck you, do the dishes." My mental state was trying to use these ideas for its own advantage, but it got bored really quickly, because it's like an animal trying to eat a turtle. It can't get in, it rolls it around a while, and then it just keeps on seeking and leaves. That's like the mental state. When it comes upon nothing, it doesn't see anything. No value in it. It smells it for a little while, see if it can make something out of it. No, it goes. Then it blooms. It's the gift that keeps on giving. You are what you're looking for. The seeker is the sought. Stop using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Stop using mind to seek mind. Stop using light to find light. And realize you are the light, you are the Buddha, you are the mind, by realizing what you're not. Not by trying to think, I'm the mind, because you'll be entertaining you're the mind as what you're not. See, that's a dilemma with identification. It's so fast you don't know you're identified. So like in recovery we say self can't get out of self. That's the dilemma, because there's a huge tendency to identify as a self and then want to get out of the trouble self seems to produce, but you want to get out of the trouble that self's producing as what's producing the trouble. You don't see the factories moving. Wherever you go, there you are. Give up, give the ghost up. Fuck. You're not going to meet a non-dual boyfriend or anything like that. You won't be specially in the... they're all crazy. The action figure doesn't have to change. You're not the action figure. Why try to make this something it can't be? It farts and smells and has a lot of blind spots. Why do we try to make it perfect? It's not meant to be. It's perfect in its own little situation. But what we are is not of the body. Like Jesus Christ said, supposedly, we're in this world, but we're not of this world. What is in this world? Bodies, yes. Time, yes. Separation, but we're not of time or separation. So, if you take it the other way, then we must be of timelessness, no thingness, yes, and absolutely no separation or wholeness. We lend ourselves more that way than this way, and it's not about trying to get over this way, it's realizing you're not there. What's the best way to get out of an imaginary place? What would save you the most time to get out? What's the quickest way to get out of an imaginary place? Realizing it's imaginary. What else? There's no need to do anything. How long does it take not to do anything? No time. There you go. From the problem, you need a solution, big time, man. From the solution, there is no problem. Soon as the recognition there is no problem, there is no solution. Because the solution and the problem are sort of codependent, yes? Once the problem is seen as being imaginary, therefore the solution is unnecessary. There you are. That's the true solution. You don't have to have a small little pocket to put the solution in. It's totally economical. There's nothing, no addition, no added weight, no vigilance, no practice, no being constantly on the defense. I'm going to lose this. No, you've never fucking had it. The aperture opens up. This is the beauty of it. You know, you have realizations. When you were having them, they were great, weren't they? I used to love realizations I had. It was great. I had a big mantle for all my fucking realizations, spiritual mantle. Big fucking, like, big game heads of spirituality. That epiphany in Bali was 4 fucking hours and was witnessed by people. Fuck, right, that's my centerpiece. So it's all safe and then, oh, I'm having these epiphanies. When an epiphany ends, it usually coincides with a thought coming up, which is, I'm having an epiphany. That's when it comes to a screeching halt. Because as soon as you arrive, it seems to depart. You don't put 2 and 2 together. As soon as I show up, it seems to be gone. How can I get there and have it still there? Well, that's the fool's gold journey. You're never going to be there to experience your own absence. It's not going to happen. So, all right, so here it is. So this was happening to me, in a sense. So I was entertaining Course in Miracles, tons of demonstrations, Kundalini, shit like that. It was great. It's great, you know. Selfing was claiming it all. It was easy peasy. Then, though, the thing went like this, and then it went there, and then I was seen. The one who had all the realizations was seen. And that was, the gig was over then. Because this, which was taking itself to be the one who had all this, was seen. Yeah? The emphasis, all the interest that was rooted in this preoccupation with Paul, a lot of it got shifted into what I really am, which produced this long-lasting state of traveling light around here. Yeah? That's it. That's the basis of it. So, you got caught with my pants down, so to speak, and I just didn't pull them back up. so, yeah. That's what's available. It's like the aperture opens, and it just doesn't open like this. It opens to include you. And then you see yourself, that you were calling you, in front of the camera. And you get a sense of what's behind the camera looking. And it ain't you. That's this, you know? And what happens? What happens with me is I lose interest in all that. Because what I'm interested in is in me, really. If something has something to do with me, I'm interested in it. Like if there was a meeting here, I always use this example, and there was a pretty girl that I was interested in that room, and I'm thinking I'm going to be married to her, have some kids. I haven't even talked to her, but my mind is present. And yeah, of course, there's never going to be a divorce in it. No, it's always going to be great, of course, forever. So I really want to meet her, and I'm doing a talk like this, and the talk is like a nuisance because I really like to be in that room. And I'm really trying to keen in on what she's saying because I'm hoping she says, I like that guy Paul. So when I meet him, you know, at the coffee table after the 2 meetings, I'm, hey, by the way, would you like that? Oh, you know. So there I am. So someone says, hey, Paul, you're supposed to be giving this talk. And I agree with them, and I'm really trying to be here, but it's more important what she implies. Yeah? She's much more important than this event. So then someone brings up a book and says, and it lands on the table and says, how to lose interest in a conversation in another room. And I agree with the principles, but I don't even finish it. But I'm still keen on that. Finally, she says, I really like this guy Matt, to her friends, and I'm Paul. What happens? Do I have to send in like, you know, what is that? Navy 6 SEAL team or something? Send them in to retrieve my interest and attention? It immediately leaves that room, in that conversation. Immediately. It doesn't take months of calling it back or, come on, come attention, come. As soon as it realizes it's not about me, where is it? Find out where it is. Where we'll come back to, find out. Find out what happens when that interest and attention that has been hijacked and is wedded to a dead occupation of obsessing around you all day, yes? When it's free from that, where is it going to go? Find out. Yeah? What I found out, it went into sort of no-thingness, which is this loop of self-importance is broken, which is, I think I'm the seeing, and I see all these things, but there's only one me seeing it. I feel all these things every day, but it's only one me feeling it. So my attention would go out, see everything, do everything, but always come back to the same reference point, me. And then boomerang back out, and me. And it was a very small loop, yeah? Because there's a big happy face with my image, my body image, and I think that's me, yeah? Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly it went through it. And it went through that, and it went back. And finally its circuit was completed. It went way wherever that is, no-thingness, and then it came back, and what it brought, it could never find here. What it brought was not from of here, yeah? And then as it's coming through, it sort of sprinkles inside, changes everything, and now its value system shifts into what's only going on now, and you have immunity to yesterday and tomorrow. Because you've lost interest in the thoughts about yesterday and tomorrow, because they were mostly about you as a body yesterday and tomorrow, and you've lost interest in that idea of being a body. Yeah? So immediately now the interest and attention is here, enriching your night, instead of being there and then enslaving you now. It's now enriching you. Same attention, same interest, just directed differently. Yeah? Yeah. So you have an immunity. It builds up. You're just not interested in tomorrow. You plan and do whatever you do to live here, but you're not occupied by that or that. You're free to be here, and it's not like I found out how to get into the moment. I just realized so I can never be out of a moment. Yeah? I haven't learned a good technique to get into a moment. I realized it's totally insane to believe I could be out of a moment. Totally. It's ludicrous, completely ludicrous to believe you're not here. And then I realized, Jesus, the thing I thought I was in that I've been trying to get out of from every time I drank and shot dope and everything, I cannot be a self, in a self, so I don't need to get out of self. Yeah? Both solutions had a timeless quality. They were immediately available with no effort or thought on my part. And I'll tell you, when you start having timeless downloads, you'll realize that's the quality of the solution. It's not of time. It's not produced by time either. Nor can it be lost in time. It's inherently timeless. Yeah? It's prior to all this activity.